Hey YouTube, I am Leo with Mining Sumo, and in this video I'll show you how to build this 12 GPU mining rig that's designed to be compact and provide excellent cooling for your GPUs. And the total cost of this frame is about $15 to $20. It's made to be compact, durable, strong, and cool, because we'll be placing our fans on the back, and when you put them on a shelf somewhere against the wall, it will blow all the hot air away from the mining rig. Hey YouTube, so I recorded the original video of how to build this frame 3 years ago in 2018, and only now I'm publishing it. And so I will make another video where I will talk about the changes or modifications that I would recommend making to this rig when building it. So you can use it as is, as I show in this video. However, there are certain things that I would recommend changing. Now that's a whole 15-minute video by itself, so I'm not going to include it here because it will change the design of this. So I'm going to link it in the description below, and make sure to check it out if you want a slightly better design of this frame. This is good to use as is, but I highly recommend actually following those modifications in that second video. Make sure you check it out. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm actually also going to place all the links to the tools, equipment used in the video in the description below. And if you need to buy any of those things, please use those links. They won't cost you anything extra, but will help support the channel. So, thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to strike that like button, subscribe to the channel, and there you go. Watch the video on how to build this really nice rig for about 20 bucks. See ya. Alright guys, so let's begin. I'll show you exactly how to build it, all the dimensions, and how to put this motherboard on. Now, this motherboard is placed on spacers to make sure that it doesn't come in contact with wood and nothing happens to the motherboard. And for spacers, I use a 1/4 inch tubing, just like this one. Cost for this rig is about $14, includes all the wood and screws. Now the way I did it is I cut two 2x4s into 3 strips, giving me 24 feet of wood. That's 1 1/8 inch wide or thick, an inch and 5/8 wide. However, you can just buy 2x2 wood or 2x1 wood at Home Depot. The cost will be slightly higher, but if you don't have a table saw, you're going to have to deal with that. Now, quick note on the GPU placement. So you want to have as much space between them as possible. And the way I did it is I placed my first GPU somewhere in the beginning, in the start of this rail, like 1/2 inch offset. And then the spacing between each one of them. So I'm using this outer edge as the next mark, and it's 3 3/4 inch spacing. So you have over 2 inches between each GPU. And that runs you all the way to the edge of the frame right here. So 3 3/4, 7.5, and so on. This gives you even spacing and pretty good for cooling. Once again, you'll have your fans blowing hot air away from the rig from the back. What are we going to need for this build and how much it's going to cost? Basically, what I'm going to use is these 2x4s, 2 of them, and these are the higher quality premium 2x4s, if that's a thing. But basically, this costs around under $4 at Home Depot, and they provide very few nuts, as you can see, and very few splinters. So that's what makes them higher quality. And our total cost is going to be between $8 to $14. And why I'm saying 14 is because if you don't have screws, 3-inch screws, then you'll have to buy them, and a pound is going to cost you around $6. Now, you can of course buy different type of wood, but I'm going for quality at good price here. That's why I'm using these 2x4s. You will have to split them using a table saw. So if you don't have a table saw, your cost will be slightly higher. You'll have to buy a pre-cut wood, and for that I would recommend something like a 4-inch strip, like this, a 1x3 4-inch strip. You can just adjust your build to this, or you can buy a 1 or 2x2 or 2x2 wood from Home Depot. I think it goes for like $2 for an 8-footer, and you'll need about 5 of them, so it's about $10 there. Okay, so as far as tools, like I said, you would need, for my version of the build, you would need a table saw. And if you don't have a table saw, then I would highly recommend going for a pre-cut wood, something like a 2x2 or a 1x2. When we cut this wood, we're going to get 3 strips out of it. They're about 1 inch and 1/8 of an inch wide by inch and 5/8. That's the dimension, and we get about 3 strips out of the 2x4. So that's 24 feet of wood. that we can use. It's very sturdy and it's non-toxic. When we mount our motherboard, what I do is I use this 1/4-inch tubing from Home Depot. It's like $1 per foot. And I cut it into 1/4-inch pieces and use this as spacers between the motherboard and the frame. Quick note, if you do plan to use a table saw for stripping, for cutting your wood, I highly recommend upgrading a blade if you haven't done so already. This is my original stock blade that came with this pretty expensive Hitachi table saw, but the damn thing, it basically, when I tried to cut a 2x4, it would kind of like bow out a lot, not a little, a lot, like 1/4 inch. So I wasn't able to cut it at all. And I got this Diablo blade. Let me show you the package for that. Well, I can't find the package, but the Diablo blade is awesome at cutting wood, and it doesn't bow. It just goes very smoothly like butter, which you will see in this video. So let's begin. I kind of have my dimensions already set, but I will, like make adjustments as we build this thing. So bear with me, and I'll put final dimensions into the video description. Now, you will also need a drill and a screw gun, and I highly recommend this Ryobi. It's very inexpensive and very powerful tool set. The lithium batteries last a very long time. When you get a set like this impact driver, it's very powerful and it's very good at driving. It also has 3 speeds, so if you don't want to overdrive, you just set it on low, and if you want power, you set it on high. And there's one in the middle. And drill is a drill. It's good to have. And this kit only costs about, $120, $130. Okay, and you also need, obviously, a tape measure. And let's begin. That's very nice. Okay, for our base, we need 27-inch wide pieces. Now, I calculated 27 based on the following dimensions. The motherboard itself is 12 inches wide. I'll show you right here. So exactly a foot. All right, and then we need about 6 inches for each PSU power supply. And I want to put my power supplies on each side of the motherboard, so the motherboard is in the center. And that gives us 24 inches, and then I just need, 3 inches on the sides for our vertical rails. So that gives us 27 inches length or width of the rig. Okay, so you need 2 of the 27 inches. And I'll figure out dimensions as we go. And put the final dimensions in the description for this video. So mark your wood. Cut it. Now don't throw out any pieces, you will need them. So then, what we want is, we want 17 inches tall. The rig will be like this. And then, so for the motherboard, what you can use is a piece of plywood in the center, or you can just run this the strips of wood parallel across the rig and then mount your motherboard directly to it. I will show you both ways, so bear with me. Let's take the next pieces, and we need 2 13-inch runs. Yeah, at this point we need one more at 27, at least one more. So let's make it. Actually, 2 more at 27. Alright, let's start putting it together so we can figure out other dimensions. So, I'm going to use the not so nice pieces on the bottom, and you do need 3-inch screws for this job. I also have my drill to pre-drill things. So before you put the screws in this wood, highly recommend you pre-drill it. Alright, so this is our beginning of our frame. Alright guys, so I made a quick mistake and I used our 13-inch pieces to go up, whereas I should have used the 17 inches. So we'll quickly fix that. Now what we want to do is put the 13-inch pieces that will go on the bottom. just like so. Okay. Okay, don't sink your screws too deep, otherwise you can crack the wood. But, you know, just go flush, just like so. So now what we need to do is to provide a center support that will allow you to mount your motherboard without using any plywood, and will also help you mount your power supplies also without using plywood. So this is where we need our motherboard. Go. And I placed it exactly right. So, okay. Let's see if we did the math correctly. We have more than 6 inches on each side of the motherboard, and our spacing is about 4¼ inches in between these two pieces. So now what we want to do is mount our first cross beam for the GPUs, and I want to go about 9 inches up, give or take, maybe 8.5. This is where we use our second 27-inch piece. Now the reason I'm mounting it on the front, I'll explain to you in a second. So my top piece will be right here, and I will be mounting GPUs just like so. And then my bottom row will be here, and it will be difficult to get my screw gun in there to attach them to this beam. And that is why I want to put it up front a little bit so they kind of stick out and give me space to attach my screws and fasten down the GPUs. So the third piece will go on the top. This is super weird, it's kind of short. For that, we need to measure distance, so it's going to be right above, so right here somewhere. Just basically like this. Okay, so this back part of the frame is where we're going to mount our fans, and they're just going to blow air away, the hot air away from the GPUs. It's very important when you have a mining rig frame to not put cold air on the GPUs, but rather remove heat. You know, that's a lot more efficient. Alright, now let's mount our support for the GPUs. And here's our GPU. So just like so. So we want our support somewhere right here. So our GPUs will be sitting very pretty, just like so. So now we need a second row of these supports, and they will go right here. So I know we need about 4.5 inches, but let's just mark it right there. So basically, the bottom of your riser aligns with the top of this tab, right here where the pencil shows, right there. So they align. So I'm just using my GPU. I'm placing it right here and marking it right there. So right there. Same on the opposite side. Alright, so one last measurement. We need to be just about here. And about here for the bottom rail. Alright guys, so here is our 12 GPU mining rig frame. So this is how the GPUs will sit on it. First row, second row, and then we'll have our big fans blowing hot air from the back. So for motherboard mounting, we're gonna cut this 1/4 inch tubing. Now this is just a water tubing into 1/4 inch long pieces. Just like this. And we're going to need 6 of them. I'm going to cut 7 just in case we lose one in the process. Motherboard is 12 inches long, or wide, or whatever you want. Okay, and so let's find the ideal placement for it. Now we want to have 2 power supplies on each side of this, so... Okay, so now the motherboard has 6 screw holes. Some of them have 9, but this one has 6. And if you have 9, you just put basically a third rail in the back to support the rear of the motherboard. But in our case, it's a pretty narrow motherboard, not so deep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this one is not in line with these two. So that's where our 2x4 comes in very handy. You know, like it gives us enough clearance in the rear and in the front to mount this. And so what we're gonna do is just mark all edges and then mark your screw holes. Just put a mark right through it with a pencil, just like so. Remove the motherboard now, and we have 6 pins or 6 dots right there. This is where our screws will hold it down. And we're going to use this 1.5 inch drywall screws. So what we'll do now is basically put our spacers over each dot or over each mark. So now we slowly place our motherboard over the spacers. Make sure you don't knock them over because you want the screw. You want your screw to go through the motherboard, screw hole right there, and through the spacer. Just like so. Alright, and that will separate your motherboard from the frame. Slowly put this over without moving the spacers. And now you can use a screw gun or a screwdriver, but I'm just going to use this. I'm going to put it on the lowest setting possible. Alright guys, so this is how you build a 12 GPU mining rig. Now I'm using this B250 FinTech by Gigabyte, and you can get it for about 180 bucks on Amazon right now. The prices are going down, so if you're watching this after I publish this video, probably the price has dropped already. Most likely now it may go up, but yeah, the prices are going down. I got it at Micro Center for 150 bucks, so if you have a Micro Center near you, this is the place to get it. And now the motherboard itself, just quickly show you. And the rig is very sturdy, very light. Now it's a regular dry wood, not pressure treated, so don't worry about the fumes and chemicals and so on and so forth. Our total cost here is about $8 for the wood and some 3-inch screws, so say another $6, so total frame cost up to $14. And this frame is designed for cooling. Again, I made this rear back frame here so you can mount two 200 millimeter fans that will just blow hot air away from your GPUs. It's very important to cool your GPUs, guys. And the reason I'm doing it this way, because my older frames, I did not think of cooling that well, and now it's becoming an issue as the winter ends and it's becoming warmer. So I'm gonna rebuild all my frames essentially. So again, our front rails kind of sticking out on the first row for GPUs, so we can mount them and screw them down. Just like so, without this rail being in the way. And because our rig is 27 inches, there's plenty of space for each GPU to stay cooler. You know, when you bunch them together, they tend to get hotter, but if they have more space to breathe, it's better for a long term. And again, the power supplies go right there. Alright guys, so for our power supply, once again, we're going to use this metal plate. You can buy them for like 90 cents at Home Depot in the framing section, and you just cut it with tin snips. It's pretty thick metal. It's 22 gauge steel, so you need some heavier duty tin snips. And basically, because we're using 2 power supplies here, we're gonna need 4 strips like this. And what we'll do is basically like attach it here and here, mount our power supply, screw it right there, and screw it into the frame. This is gonna hold the power supply very tightly. It's not gonna move anywhere, and it's very inexpensive. So no need for tape, no need for zip ties. It's just gonna go like that. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. And if I was very helpful, donations are welcome. I will include the ETH address and the Bitcoin address in the description. You don't have to donate, but you know, we very much appreciate anything. Besides